Students, myself R.B. Suksare, lecturer, MTT department. Now, here in this video, we will discuss about revision class data presentation system. Here, in your question bank, the question is make use of a sketch and explain analog and digital meters. Here, analog to digital, the main elements, analog inputs. Next process is sample and hold it. Next one, analog to digital converter. Next one, counters. Here, the moving coil meter is an analog indicator with a pointer moving across a scale. The basic instrument and rectifier being used to converter it to the other ranges of direct current and the measurement of alternating current and voltages instrument is restricted to between about 50 Hz to 10 kHz. The accuracy of such a meter depends on a number of factors, among which are temperature, the presence nearby magnetic field or ferrous materials, the way meter is mounted, bearing friction, inaccuracies in scale marking during manufacture, etc. The digital voltmeter gives its reading in the form of a sequence of digits. Such a form of display eliminates parallax and interpolation errors and can give accuracies as high plus or minus 0.005. The digital voltmeter is essentially just a sample and hold unit feeding an analog to digital converter with its output counted by a counter as shown in figure. It has high resistance of the order of 10 mega ohm and so loading effects are less likely than with the moving millimeter with its lower resistance, that is the analog and digital meters. Next one, next question, make use of sketch and explain visual display in it. Here, visual display in it, the first scan all odd number line are traced out and hold the second even number line traced. Technique is called interlaced scanning. The output data is increasingly being presented using a television type of display termed a visual display unit. The builds up a picture on a cathode ray tube screen by moving the spot formed by the electron beam in a series of horizontal scan lines, one after another. Down the screen, the image is built up by varying the intensity of the spot on the screen as each line is scanned. The raster form of display is termed non-interlaced in figure to reduce the effects of flicker. To scan down the screen are used to trace a complete picture. Here in this diagram, electron beam sweeping down the screen. Here interlaced and another diagram is non-interlaced. Next question is, make use of sketch and explain dot matrix printers. Here the dot matrix printers, the main elements are return spring, hammer, overall spring, print needle, guide tube, inked ribbon and paper. Here the main function is printers provide a record of data on paper. These are a number of versions of such printers. The dot matrix printers, ink or bubble jet printer and laser printer. The dot matrix printer has a print head in figure which consists of either 9 or 24 pins. In a vertical line, each pin is controlled by an electromagnet which, when turned on, propels the pin onto inking ribbon. This transfers a small blob of ink onto the paper behind the ribbon. A character is formed by moving the printer head is in horizontal lines back and forth across the paper and firing the appropriate pins. This is dot matrix printer. Next one, make use of sketch and explain laser printer. Here the main components are charging wire, rotating mirror, laser, toner, corona wires, toner transfer to paper, Here, next one, paper in middle, fusing roller, fixed toner in on paper. The laser printer has a photosensitive drum which is coated with azulinium based light sensitive material. In the dark, selenium has a high resistance and consequently becomes charged as it passes close to the charging wire. This is a wire at a high voltage and of which charge leaks. A light beam is made to scan along the length of the drum by a small rotating eight-sided mirror. When light strikes the selenium, its resistance drops and it can no longer remain charged. By controlling the brightness of the beam of light, so points on the drum can be discharged or left charged. As the drum passes the toner reservoir, the charged areas attract particles of toner, which thus stick to the areas that have not been exposed to light and do not stick on the areas that have been exposed to light. The paper is given a charge as it passes another charging wire, the so called corona wire, so that as it passes close to the drum, it attracts the toner of the drum. A hot fusing roller is then used to melt the toner particles so that after passing between rollers they firmly adhere to the paper. Generally, used laser printers are currently able to produce 600 dots per inch. Next one, make use of sketch, explain LED displays. Your main components is LED chip and reflector. Light emitting diode is the light indicator. So, for such displays might be neon lamps, incandescent lamps, light emitting diode, or liquid crystal displays LCDs. Neon lamps need high voltage and low current and can be powered directly from the mains voltage but only be used to give a red light. Incandescent lamps can be used with a wide range of voltages but need a comparatively high current. They emit white light, so use lenses to generate any required color. Their main advantage is their brightness. Light emitting diodes require low voltages and low currents and are cheap. These diodes, when forward biased, emit light over a certain band or overlengths. In figure shows the basic form of LED, the light emitted from the diode being enhanced in one direction by means of reflectors. Commonly used LED materials are gallium arsenide, gallium phosphide, and alloy of gallium arsenide with gallium phosphide. He most commonly used LEDs can give red, yellow, or green colors. Next question, make use of sketch and explain alarm indicator. Here the main comparator is indicator, logic, switching element and indicator. Temperature alarms which respond when the temperature reaches a particular value or falls to some other values. This may be used on based on the use of a resistance element or thermocouple to sense the temperature. Current alarms which respond when the current reaches a particular value or falls below some other values. Voltage alarms which respond when the voltage reaches a particular value or falls below some other values. Weight alarms which respond when the weight in a container reaches a particular value or falls below some other values. These generally used load cells with electrical resistance strain gauges. And next question, make use and explain data loggers. Here the data loggers, the main components, input, process, outputs are digital inputs and log inputs and thermocouple inputs, and processing digital multiplexer and log multiplexer, amplifier, alternative direct currents, microprocessor and display printer, floppy disk or other system, that is the control in remote. In figure, the basic elements of data loggers, such a unit can monitor the inputs from a large number of sensors. Input from individual sensors after suitable signal conditioning are fed into a multiplexer. The multiplexer is used to select one signal which is then fed after amplification to the analog to digital converter. The digital signal is then processed by a microprocessor. The microprocessor is able to carry out simple arithmetic operation, perhaps taking the average of a number of measurements. The output from the system might displayed on a digital meter that indicates the output and channel number used. To give a permanent record with a printer stored on floppy disk or transferred to perhaps a computer or analysis. Because data loggers are often used with thermocouple, they are often used after special inputs for thermocouple, those providing cold junction, compensation, and linearization. Multiplexer can be switched to each sensor in turn, and so the output consists of a sequence of samples. Scanning of the inputs can be selected by programming the microprocessor to switch the multiplexer to just sample in simple channel, carry out a single scan of all channels, a continuous scan of all channels, or perhaps carry out the periodic scan of all channels, say every 1, 5, 15, 30 minutes. This is the end of the chapter. Thank you.